Hi, I'm Angelo Cataldi, and I love Philadelphia because of the passion of the sports fans in our city. Nobody like them, and that's what I love best.
Welcome to With or Without, a podcast about Philadelphia's most intriguing people with the most interesting stories. My name is Dennis Valerino. I'm here with my longtime friend and co-host, Michael Butter Moffitt. Michael.
Hey, how are you folks?
Today we have a special guest who's been out of the spotlight since 2023, and we want to check in with him and see how he's doing. We also want to hear his story because, Michael, you know, everybody's got a story. Angelo Cataldi, you ready to tell yours?
Oh, I sure am, Dennis. Thank you for having me on. Nice to meet you, Mike. Yeah, I told my story. It was like over 300 pages when I wrote the book a couple of years ago. I got the stories, that's for sure.
Excellent. I hope to hear some today. You were born March 13th, 1951?
Yes.
Okay. Providence, Rhode Island?
Correct.
Can you describe your childhood?
Yeah, I was a 10-pound baby. I had a record for a few weeks maybe it's just because Rhode Island's such a small city, but I was like 10 pounds, 4 ounces. And my mother always held that against me. But I had a great childhood, typical 50s childhood. And, very early on, my father was a big baseball fan. He kind of made me that. I did well in school. I went to good schools and I lived a very happy childhood. There were no great tragedies or horrible stories in it. It was just nice and smooth.
You were good in school.
Yeah, I was really good in school. I was real serious about it, though. I didn't find any joy in my success. I was a little bit of a perfectionist.
Can you tell us about the first time you saw the Celtics Sixers at the arena? You, ironically, were a huge Sixers fan, right?
Yeah, I was a Sixers fan pretty much from the very beginning because, well, it really has to do with my dad and the fact that he loved Joe DiMaggio because my father was Italian and Italians back then rooted for Italians. So I became a contrarian because in New England, most of the people there who were baseball fans rooted for the Red Sox. So then I started to become a contrarian in basketball. And the big rivals for the Celtics back then were the Sixers. And so I went to a game. The Celtics used to actually come to Providence and play in this dank old arena called the Auditorium or the Arena. We call it either one. And they came in and they were playing the Celtics were playing the 76ers. And Wilt Chamberlain was there and I was watching him spellbound. He was so huge. And it was like a big moment in my formative years to watch somebody that big and that great. And make no mistake, he's the greatest basketball player that ever lived. If you were around 74 years like I have been, you would agree that he was better than Michael Jordan or LeBron James or anybody else who's come along because he was so dominant. They had to change the rules. He was so good. But that's when I really got hooked. Between that and my father's love for the Yankees, by the time I had hit my teen years, I was a major sports fan.
Did you get to go to Yankee Stadium much?
Yeah, well, yeah, there's a little story to that. My dad was a typical Italian father. He went to work, he was a tool maker, he worked hard, came home, and then the night was kind of whatever he wanted to do with it, and it normally didn't include me. My mother did all that. My mother was the one I was closest to. And when I was about 11 or 12, she saw that there was a doubleheader at Yankee Stadium. And she took me and my friend on the train. It was a 3-hour ride to train, doubleheader at Yankee Stadium, the old one, and 3-hour ride back. And that's the day I knew, Dennis, that I had a great mom because there was no fun in that for her with two 12-year-old boys.
15-hour day.
But she did it. And, by the time I had gotten home, I was hooked. It completely changed my life. From that point on, I knew I want to be as close to sports as I can be.
Are you in high school then?
Yeah, I think I was probably either just starting high school or right at the end of junior high school. I was around, 13, 12, 13, somewhere around there.
And you're going to a top flight high school at that point, right?
Yeah, in Rhode Island, they had them tiered. There were four different high schools, and it wasn't so politically correct as it is now. And the people that tested the best got to the best high school, which was classical high school. And I got the opportunity to go there, and it was like being at a private school. It was a great school.
Did you play many sports?
I a little, and I played. I was tall, so I played a little basketball, but not at the high school level. I tried out as a kicker for the football team, but that didn't go really too well either. So no, I was more. I learned pretty early on that if I was going to be involved in sports, it would be from the media perspective, not from the player perspective.
Okay. Go with the girls back in high school?
Um, let's put it this way. I was more interested in them than they were in me. I was here's how big a catch I was in high school, Dennis. I was the vice president of the chess club. I was not even the president. So
And you did that for the chicks.
among the nerds, I was not at the top. So there was no bit. The truth, it is a true story. People don't believe this, then. I got to my senior prom and I asked my cousin because I didn't have any prospects, and my cousin turned me down.
That's ironic, since the guy who took your spot in the morning, didn't he go to the prom with his cousin? Right? Camera?
So at the very end of my senior year, I started going out with a girl.
Linda?
And I was like, oh my God, a girl will go out with me. So I married her.
And you went to college with him too, right?
Yes. We went to the University of Rhode Island, which was really a party school then.
Mhm.
And then right after that, I got out in a little less than 3 years. And then as soon as I graduated, we got married. She had another year to go.
So while you were married, she was still going and you were out. What were you doing?
I was out, and then I hooked on with the local newspaper down there, the Narragansett Times, and in a lucky twist of fate, because my wife back then had connections, we were hired as house parents in a sorority on the campus of the University of Rhode Island. We were at Sigma Delta Tau, and we had a little apartment there, and we didn't have to pay any rent, and they even gave us like a $1,500 or so a month just to oversee things, which we didn't really oversee much of anything.
No.
What was going on out there, we didn't want to be privy to.
You were supposed to protect the women. Did you protect the girls?
Well, I was supposed to. Couple of years into it.
Oh, you were there a while, a couple years.
I was there 4 years.
Wow.
And the fourth year I went away to school, but not that school.
Right.
But the first 3 years I was the house father. And one time toward the end of that tenure, the jock fraternity invaded us late at night. Phi Mu was the name of I can remember all that. And they broke through and they got inside the place, and there were like 60 women in there, and there were maybe 40 or 50 drunk athlete types racing around, taking their clothes off, relieving
Crazy scene.
Sounds like the movie Revenge of the Nerds.
Yeah, kind of. Because what I did basically was stand in the doorway of my apartment and watch the mayhem. I mean, we had called the campus cops, but they were pretty much useless too. And I wasn't about to take on 40, 50 guys who were all, football players and basketball players. So I waited till they left. Eventually the cops showed up and we went, oh, well, I guess now we have to raise money to fix it. So we actually we did a fundraiser to get money to fix what these fraternity guys had done to the house. It was an awful house father, is what I'm.
But you had fun.
I did have fun, and it was, it gave me a little bit of a head start in that I wasn't paying any rent. I was getting a few bucks. And then I applied to Columbia, and I went away in that fourth year and got a master's degree at Columbia.
What was that like? What were the living conditions like in Columbia?
Well, you got to understand, when you lived in Rhode Island your whole life, and all of a sudden you're in a dump of a dormitory in New York City. It was I got there. I got to the dormitory. It was called Ruggles Hall, and there was a sign on the wall that said, "This building is condemned by the city of New York. Um, Continue into it at your own peril." It was like,
And they still had you live there.
oh man, it was cockroaches, rodents.
Didn't
It
you
was
get a syndrome
It was awful. I ended up getting like a fungus infection.
and a Ruggles syndrome?
Yeah, Ruggles. Is there a term for that? I don't know if there's a term for it, but I caught it, whatever it was. But when I wasn't in that decrepit scene, I was learning from amazing, amazing professors. I mean, people that were Fred Friendly, who was the president of CBS back then, was one of the people.
Wow.
Well, I had 2 courses with Judith Cress, the film critic, who's just a brilliant writing coach. I mean, it was an amazing year. It completely rewired my brain.
Now, you still wanted to do sports then, or were you?
Well, they didn't want me to. And I went to my advisor and I said to him, "I want to do sports." He went, "Well, what the heck are you doing at this school? This school is for, managing editors and syndicated columnists."
Guys that go off to war.
Yeah, exactly. They're war correspondents. You're right. And I went, I want to enjoy what I'm doing. So he said, "Okay, you can do that, but you need to do 2 things. One is, under no circumstances, the entire year you're here, breathe a word of this to anyone. Because the minute they hear that you want to do sports, they will probably find a way to get you out. And secondly," he said, "when you do sports, cover it like you would City Hall. Cover a team the way you would the White House. Ask every tough question. Do not kiss any butts. Go out there and do it journalistically."
And that's what you do, right? That's what you carry on.
It took me a while to get the opportunity to cover teams.
Now, you're married, right? Going to grad school in New York, and you're starting a family.
Yeah, my daughter my wife was pregnant with Meredith, my first daughter, my first kid, and all that was going on at once. But I knew what I wanted to do. It took a long time. I went back home. I got a job at the Providence Journal, and I made a deal with the guy who ran it, because no one ever leaves Rhode Island. There was never going to be an opportunity to even get into the sports department. And the guy that ran the paper said, "Listen, I'm going to give you a chance to write sports. I'll create a position if you give me 1 year on our action line."
And what's the action line?
This was a column where I still see it now sometimes on broadcast. People had a gripe with a business and they would write a letter, and then you, representing the paper, would call the business and go, "They think you screwed them. Why don't you give them the $512 back? And then I'll write in the column how nice you were." And most of the time they said yes.
Little extortionist.
Oh, it was total extortion. But every once in a while, they would say no. And I would say, "Okay, look, I don't know what you're thinking here, but this is the opposite of an ad. I'm going to write in here that you were not cooperative, that you didn't really care about this customer, and that you didn't do anything about it." Very few of them. It would amaze you how few people at that point said, "I don't care, go do it." Most of them said, "Fine, be happy, it's blood money. They're wrong, the people are wrong anyway." And you go, "That's okay. It'll look good in the column for you that you took care of them."
Good for everybody at that point.
I'll say you didn't really agree with the people, but you were nice enough to give the money up.
Right.
But it was pure extortion.
What are you learning in the sports end of it? So you're doing that, but that allows you to start your sports reporting, correct?
Only after I've done that year.
Okay.
And believe me when I tell
Oh,
you,
you weren't doing both at the same time.
no.
Okay.
This was a full-time grind.
So after the year, what happened? Like before you get to Philly,
to
what's
the guy, and I go, "That's your year. I need a job," and he did. He made good on the promise. He put me in there, and I employed a lot of what they taught me at Columbia. And I approached the job differently than the other people that worked there. I was really, I don't want to say nasty, but I was really demanding, the way you would see a White House correspondent do it. Like I Bill Fitch, he was the coach of the Celtics, and I was covering them for the team. And he developed such a hate for me that in the playoffs, he just suddenly one day had read my column basically saying something really negative about him. And he had my seat, which was right on the floor of the Boston Garden. And he put me up in the nosebleeds with the auxiliary score thing.
in the rafters?
We were the third biggest newspaper covering the Celtics. We didn't deserve to be up in the boonies. So I even then I was kind of, looking for a chance to stir stuff up.
So you're covering the Celtics. Are you covering Bird?
I was covering Bird, who hated me. I had a real feud going with him. But I told Bob Ryan, who's the best basketball writer in history, he worked for the Globe. I said, Bob, they shipped me out to the boonies. And Bob started laughing. And he immediately gathered the media around me for an impromptu news briefing where I informed all the other people covering it that Bill Fitch had thrown me off the press table. And it was great. The next day, I was the sidebar. Everyone, Providence Journal reporter banned by Bill Fitch, who's bullying people. And I actually ended up getting a call a couple of days later from the owner of the Celtics back then, a guy named Harry Mangurian. And he apologized to me. And he all but told me he had enough of Bill Fitch. It was kind of a down season. And he went, I'll take care of this further when the playoffs are over. And when the playoffs were over, he fired him.
Is that 82?
Yeah, probably.
81. They beat Houston.
Yeah, it was a down year. It was the year he got fired. He finally got fired. He was a real jerk. If you want to know, I covered so many obnoxious sports figures, and I made them more obnoxious by challenging them.
Okay.
So there was automatically, it was like a preview of all the contentious things I would be dealing with in the rest of my career.
Are you there? Is 82? Are you there? That Game 7 isn't that the year Boston screaming? Beat LA.
Beat LA. That was the year before, I think.
That
was a fun thing. That was that was my chance to meet Billy Cunningham.
That was fun.
But it was the thing was, I knew right then that if I was going to keep doing it the way Columbia had told me to do it, that I was going to have some bumps in the road.
Yeah.
And you know what? Fine. I was doing it the right way. I'm proud of what I did journalistically.
Are you? Does this might sound weird or this connection, but you're more of a loner in high school. Does that help you in this?
Without a doubt,
you can handle it
in life. It's not just that. I don't make friends easily. I'm not very social. That was never part of what I wanted to do.
Okay.
What I wanted to do was write, and I wanted to write the way they taught me to write at Columbia.
Do you meet Ali at this time when you're?
Oh yeah, that was.
Tell us about that.
Greatest highlights. Ali is coming in for an exhibition match against Jimmy Ellis, and I'm the boxing writer. In fact, this situation actually got me a job offer at the New York Post that I turned down. All right, because I was a boxing writer. They came in, and lots of people were there, and Ali was doing this thing, and They said, "Oh, you're the big newspaper. We want to drum up excitement for the fight. Meet us at the Sheraton Biltmore, and you'll get a one-on-one with Muhammad Ali."
Wow.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said. And sure enough,
What was it like?
I'm sitting there, and he's got an entourage, and he steps off the elevator, and I was like spellbound.
Mm.
No one I've ever met had the charisma of Muhammad Ali. And he just took over a room.
Yeah.
And he talked, and I wrote down the notes.
And it's just you and him.
It's just
sitting.
me and him at a little table right on a corner of the restaurant. And he's talking, and he's just, nobody promoted events better than Muhammad Ali.
No.
Even a meaningless exhibition. And at the very end, he's talking to him, and he goes, "Give me a pad." And I hand him my pad, and he takes my pen, and he draws this chart, and he says, "This is the solution to world peace." And it was a big chart, it had a lot of different stuff on it, and I didn't really have a clue what he was talking about, but I was so mesmerized, I wasn't about to stop him, right?
Wow.
And he hands it back to me, and he said, "If we just follow that chart, this world will be a better place." And
So you ran to Reagan?
World. He was fighting in Zaire. He was everywhere.
Everywhere. He was the most famous person ever in the whole world, right? Most recognizable face.
100%. There wasn't a person in the world that wouldn't recognize him.
And at that time, you're just a young reporter. This is got to be the biggest thing.
Eventually, unfortunately, I lost the pad that he had the chart in. Therefore, I was not able to create world peace.
No.
But it was great. It was
you covered the longest game ever played in
I covered. I was
baseball.
32 innings one day, one inning 2 months later. It was in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. It featured two great players who ended up in the Hall of Fame. For Pawtucket, it was their third baseman, Wade Boggs. And for Rochester, it was the shortstop, who may have been a third baseman then, Cal Ripken Jr. And people have made it, Dennis, people have made it the most magical night in baseball history. I was there. It was awful. It was horrible. It was so cold. It was April. It was the night before Easter. The wind was blowing straight in. We were in the press box, and a tiny little press box in McCoy Stadium, and the wind is blowing, and we're freezing. Oh, it's so bad. My last deadline was 2 a.m., which was like 20, 21 innings into the game.
Wow.
It didn't appear anyone was ever going to score because you couldn't hit the ball out. The wind was blowing too hard. And I don't know, everybody was dead. So I could have left. And all I did that whole night, you got to understand, from like 8 o'clock when it started to like 2 o'clock in the morning at my last, all I did was bitch. In fact, I think it was good training for when I became
I can't believe that about you.
Yeah. Well, it seems like when I finally got to radio, it's pretty much all I did anyway. So, but I stayed. I stayed because the guys in the press box kept telling me, "Do you understand this could be history?" I was going, "History, my butt." And then when they got to 30 innings, it was like, well, this is history. No game's ever been this long. Mm-hmm. They finally tracked down the president of the league, who had been out carousing and doing something. He was up till 4. They didn't reach him till almost 4 in the morning. And the president said, "Oh my God, you guys are still playing. All right, listen, this is the last inning. If no one scores at this inning, suspend the game. We'll finish it some other time." And no one scored. And
pre-cell phones.
They finished it. Oh yeah, way before. This was 83, 82. And they resumed it 2 months later, at which point there was a strike in Major League Baseball. So everyone in the world came to McCoy Stadium to see the longest baseball game ever played. And including my future co-host at WIP, Al Morganti.
This is the first time you meet Al?
Yeah. I don't even believe I met him, but he was there.
He was there.
because the resumption of the game took 16 minutes.
Wow. So
on a 75-degree night in June in Rhode Island.
you bring up Al. How do you get to Philly?
He's a weasel. All
No,
right.
how do you get to Philly?
Al, here's the thing with Al. He went around for the 33 years we worked together, telling everybody that we both went to the longest game ever played. No. I went to mine was like 8 hours and some minutes. His was 16 minutes
On the back end, the last inning.
Al, you saw one freaking inning. I saw the first 32, then the 33rd inning. Don't do that to me. But it was, what it showed me is how people in sports like to glorify stuff. Being there, you knew there was nothing glorious about it. It was off. There were 19 people in the stands when they finally ended the game. 19 people. We counted them. And they made it sound. So now whenever anybody's doing any story about the longest game ever played, I'm on the list to call the one guy who still trashes it. And, somebody's got to do it. I guess it may as well be me.
Okay. How do you get to Philly?
Well, then, not long after that,
Right.
I decided that I had, I would love to leave. I won a first prize in a column writing contest, national contest, Associated Press. And I guess it reached the attention of Jay Searcy, who is the executive sports editor of the Philadelphia Inquirer. And he contacted me, and I went, oh, my God, that's exactly where I'd like to be. I mean, you want a media that's demanding. You want people who do it journalistically. Stan Hochman, Mark Wicker, John Shulian, Frank Dolson, Bill Lyon, Bill Livingston. I mean, these were the best writers in the country. Bill Conlon, before he fell into disfavor, was a brilliant baseball writer. And the answer is yes.
These are all guys that I read as a young man. So I know.
Great.
Yes.
All amazing.
And this is telling the audience what life was like. You didn't have TV. You didn't have ESPN. You had 5 minutes at the end of a newscast, and you found everything out, if you didn't watch it live, from the newspaper.
Yes.
From the back page.
Oh, good.
This is how I read a newspaper. I turned it to the back page, the Daily News, and read from the back end.
Yeah. It was an amazing time to be able to cover sports with all those incredible sports writers.
We were lucky in Philly.
Excuse me?
I think we were lucky in Philly between the writers, the announcers, Gene Hart and Callis and Merrill.
Exactly.
So you come to Philly, you start working at the Inquirer. Your first year, you're on the hockey beat. Yes.
Flyers, which I didn't know anything about hockey, but
it teaches you.
Even then, I got to travel in buses with Gene Hart. He took me in his way. He taught me a lot about hockey. I met some of all the people I ever covered in any sport. The hockey people were always the most accommodating. They were the most humble. They were the easiest to deal with. They were real gentlemen. And Tim Kerr, especially, among all of them. Tim Kerr is a great hockey player, but he was also an amazing person. And he got me through the year. He really did. He understood that I was working at a disadvantage and that I had never, not 1 second, had covered anything associated with hockey. And now all of a sudden I'm taking over for 1 year from Al Morgani, who was covering the Olympics. Al knows hockey. He's in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
Yeah, that's unreal.
I didn't know anything. I got through it. Al helped me some too. And Tim helped me. And
Tim Kerr saved your life that year?
Yeah, I was, again, like I said, when you're asking annoying questions and doing stuff like that, you're going to create problems with the people who you cover. And Bob McCammon was the coach and kind of the GM too of the Flyers back then. And he didn't like me because I was asking a lot of annoying stuff, especially because he knew I didn't really understand the game that much. But I understood he had a very negative dynamic with Bobby Clark, who was his big star. And he kept wanting to sit Bobby Clark, and Bobby Clark, there was no load management back then either in the mid 80s. And Bobby Clark didn't want to do it, and it got real ugly. And then
They wanted to send him to Florida in like April, right? March.
They wanted to send him,
if I remember.
They wanted to send him to Jupiter, Florida for a week on vacation. Bobby wanted no part of that. I got in the middle of it. And anyway, McCammon attacked me. McCammon physically came after me one day, and he had just been eating these little sugar donuts, the powdered sugar. So he's popping them like the little one. So he's popping them, and he's got like a little sugar mustache all around his mouth, right? And which makes it really hilarious to see the guy screaming at you. And then he gets up from his desk, he turns around, and he starts running at me. So I'm backing up. And just as I am, Tim Kerr happens to be walking by. And
Thank God.
Yeah, no kidding, thank God. And Tim Kerr is the one guy. He could have picked McCammon. Tim Kerr was strong. And he literally just stopped his coach before the assault. But
and it wouldn't be the last time you were attacked.
It wouldn't be the last.
We'll hear about it.
You know, it's funny. It never really upset me to the point that at any point it made me change the way I did it. You know, Columbia did such a job of wiring my brain to be like, if you're going to kiss anybody's ass, we're going to take back the diploma. So don't do it. And that really, it kind of was the whole rest of my career, because that's the way I did it my whole career. I called people out all the time. You had an
incident with Clark right around that time.
Yeah, because Clark one time announced that I had made a story up, that it wasn't true, that he didn't say negative things about McCammon and the vacation plan, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, back then, not a lot of people were taping their interviews. But I went to Columbia and they told me to tape everything.
This is the second time it saved you.
I had a tape.
Yeah.
So I literally, this tells you I wasn't intimidated. Even this little kid from Providence, Rhode Island. I got in the middle of the locker room the next day because Jay Greenberg was the writer covered for the Daily News, and he was trashing me. And they were all saying I made it up because it made them look bad. But I had these quotes direct, one-on-one with Clark. And I clicked the thing and I played Clark saying exactly what I had written. Exactly what I had written. And the funny part about it was, you think at that point somebody would have apologized to me for trashing me for something that I was 100% right about? No. I learned that day how petty the other people in the media are. But it didn't change me. I felt great about it. I felt great about it. And years later, I had some very cordial conversations, interviews on the radio with Bobby Clark and other people who were associated with that team.
It just went on. What do you do after hockey? Is it baseball, football?
Football. Yeah, they were grooming me. They liked what I was doing in the hockey, and they put me in a sport I actually knew.
I guess Al comes back.
I got to cover. Yeah, Al went back, and then I went to the Eagles, and I got there in the final year of Marion Campbell.
First year, Buddy Ryan.
The transition to Buddy Ryan.
So I got
to see, I got to see some great stuff in the time I covered the Eagles. It was really, the Swamp Fox was a very nice man who was not particularly good as a head coach, good defensive mind. I got wind that he was getting fired. I had a snitch inside the Eagles organization, like the ultimate snitch. It wasn't that I had in any way cultivated him. I represented the biggest paper, and he wanted to make the biggest splash. So he kind of started telling me stuff. And then he just told me, he said, the Eagles are firing Marion Campbell, and they've offered the job to David Schuler.
I remember that.
26 years old. He was an assistant, his father. And Norman Brain was the owner, and he was from Miami, and he loved Don Schuler. So he said, well, I can't have Don. Don's, he's doing a Dolphin. I'll take his kid.
Cheaper.
Offered him the job. And the kid was doing due diligence when I got this. So I wrote it. No one believed it. Even my own bosses didn't believe it. So they went to Frank Dolson, the columnist who had been there forever and who knew Harry Gamble was the president of the team. They said, Frank, we got this story, but I need you to find out if there's anything to it. It says that they're firing Marion Campbell and they replaced her with David Shula, 26. No one under 33 had ever been a head coach in the NFL. And he checked with Harry Gamble, and to Harry's credit, Harry went, yeah, that's what Norman wants to do. How the hell did he get that? And then they did like this big investigation to find out who had snitched. I don't know if they ever actually found out who was.
You want to tell us now?
But
who it was?
I'm not. I will never. I will never get. But I will say this: the person that was my source then has passed.
Okay,
he has passed away. It was a long time ago. But anyway, bottom line is, once the story came out, it was no longer going to happen because it was such a big.
Thank God. Shula wasn't even an offensive or defensive coordinator, right?
And as it turned out, he would have been an awful choice. Yeah. But so
it goes to Buddy Ryan.
And it's like, you want a godsend? There's your godsend. Buddy Ryan? There's no better person in that world you could ever get to cover because he did all your work, Dennis. Every day he had some issue or crisis that gave you your story. Every day. It was amazing.
I loved it when he came here.
But again, I'm doing it. Buddy is saying a lot of stuff he knows isn't true, but I'm Mr. Journalist, so I'm holding him to everything. So I'm asking him questions. He's getting angry and he's getting more irritated with me. He just won a Super Bowl with the Bears before he came over. Who's this jackass? You know? So I got to mid-season and I wrote an analysis which basically said that Buddy Ryan sold the city a bill of goods and he's a fraud. Well, that was it for me and Buddy. Buddy, he didn't attack me, to his credit, but he did freeze me out. So for the rest of that year, he wouldn't answer. We would be in like a group setting. I would fire a question, and then there would be silence until someone else asked the next question. Because I did not
just ignored you.
It didn't. But then, at the end of the year, they put all the stuff I did covering that first season in a package, and they sent it, and I got to be a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize.
Wow.
Which was probably, in my journalism career, that was probably the ultimate that happened. And that was, again, the training that I got at Columbia.
And at that point, you, like, your future is nowhere on the radar. You're not even thinking.
No, not till it was like 2 or 3 years later when Al Morgani came to me. This would have been 1987. He went, they're trying this new thing. They're going to be a sports radio station, and Tom Brookshire is going to be involved in it. And he kind of knew Tom a little. I don't know how, but Al knew Tom a little bit. And he got us a meeting, and we went in, and we didn't even have a plan. Al didn't believe in planning. Al believed in just off the cuff. And I don't know what's going on. I'm just riding shotgun here. So Al comes in, and he tells Tom he thinks we should do a daily show on this new sports station. And he sells Tom on the idea. It's a Friday afternoon. Tom, this is Brookie. Brookie goes, all right, boys, you convinced me. Let's start the show on Monday.
3 days later.
It's Friday. Monday? What time you need us here? Get here about 8:30. You'll be on at 9. All right, great, Tom. Appreciate it. We assumed when we got there, there'd be like a crash course or something with the professional announcer he was putting us with. There was no crash course. Brookie didn't even get there till before 9. And secondly, there was no professional announcer. We were the only announcers.
So it was a crash course. Here's the microphone.
Crash, all right. Crashed right into the wall.
Who was it? You, Al? Who else?
Me and Al. That was it. The first show
just
was
you
me
two.
And some guy on the other side of the glass who was our producer, who quickly realized he was working with people that did not even know how to turn on the microphones. And he basically got us through the show.
How'd the first hour go? It was an hour, right?
It was an hour, but it seemed like about 12. I would say let me put it this way. If there's one tape I hope never ever surfaces,
It's that one.
tape of our first show.
Okay.
It was on. The thing was, the format was brand new. We apprenticed in front of everybody. We learned how to do it step by step.
You were like, oh my God. Al was like, that was great.
Yeah, no, I would seriously analyze sports like the journalist that I was, and Al would be Al, who's always goofy, and he was clearly much better at it. And we would get through it, and Brookie would laugh. Brookie would go, "Well, you screwed that up pretty good. I can't wait for your next one." You know, and he had a very happy-go-lucky approach to life. And you know, 2 years later, they offered me a job to go there full time, and I was pretty much done at that point with the Enquirer. I didn't want to work there anymore, and I took
Because of your bosses.
the bosses I had at the Enquirer were oppressive, obnoxious, and untalented.
They ruined it.
Especially one guy, a guy named David Tucker, who he ended up creating WIP. We all left because we couldn't tolerate the guy. He was just awful.
So in a way, one of the worst things you're dealing with in your life at that point, this guy creates your future. Like he just pissed you off so much that
he did.
All right, I'm going to try this. Screw him.
It's exactly, Dennis. That's exactly what happened. It was I talked to the guy who ran the Enquirer at the very end, and he went, "You were nominated for a Pulitzer. Now you're going to be a shock jock? What's wrong with you? You're throwing away your journalistic career." And I told him, "No, believe me, no. This is just a way station. I'm going to end up somewhere else, and I'll resume. I just need a break from all this stuff. I can't work for the guy you got as my boss."
Did you think about staying and just going somewhere else? Like
No,
with journalism?
I wanted to try it. I wanted to try it because, well, there's only one reason I wanted to try it, because I was making $55,000 at the Philadelphia Inquirer, and the WIP offered me $75,000, and I did it for the money.
So when is that? 89?
It was 90.
90.
I was 88 and 89. We were doing the 1 hour show.
Okay.
And in 90, I got summoned to pair up with Tom Berkshire and have
That's Brookie and the Rookie.
Brookie and the Rookie.
You're the rookie.
What I didn't know is that Brookie only intended to stay there one more year. And
you're a 40-year-old rookie.
Yeah, and then the Rookie was going to be 39, 40 years old, right, in charge of the morning show. But he ended up staying 2. And by the end of the second year, he said, it's yours now, kid. Good luck.
Kid.
And he said, don't forget something. And you got a mic right in front of you, Dennis. He goes, see that right there? That's a loaded gun. And it's pointed at your face. So make sure you don't say anything stupid. Of course, then for the next 30 years or so, that's all I did was say stupid stuff.
Well,
but that was
your own part of the stadium, didn't
he? Yeah, he owned a very small part of the station, but
and Ed Snyder owned the rest.
Extremely instrumental in getting it started.
Okay,
but it's funny then. When he heard the way I did it, which is extremely contentious and negative and yelling and screaming, he realized that it was best that he didn't own the station or any longer had a say in it, because that was quite a lot different than the way Brookie did things.
Right. Just for people listening don't know, Brookshire, the younger people, Brookshire was an Eagle in the 60s, 70s. Played safety?
He played cornerback and safety. He did both.
Handsome guy.
He's a great player, good looking. His number was retired, Dennis.
Yeah. And John Madden, he was John Madden before John Madden, right? He was with Pat Samaral, and they were great.
Yes.
Yeah.
25 years. He was the number 1 NFL analyst on CBS with Pat Summerall. And now he's with me. Getting up at 7 in the morning, at 5 in the morning, whatever the hell time it was, and listening to me say stupid stuff.
What did he teach you?
You know what he taught me more than anything? A work ethic. He didn't need to work. He was, you know how rich he was at that point. His number retired. He's a great athlete, a great broadcaster. And he would come in 2 hours before the show with a pad and he would create a script for the show and he'd have all this prep done. And I looked at it and I went, God, if he's got to do it and he knows this stuff inside and out, I'm going to have to really work hard. And I did. He taught me how to do that. And he also taught me how to be warm when you need to be warm, how to handle a crisis. I was with him when we had the first Desert Storm war, and he showed me how to take yourself out of format and do an entirely different kind of show on the run. I learned so much from him. I had no chance. If he had left any earlier, I would not have been able to make it. But he taught me how to do it.
Now, would you consider yourself an introvert?
Yes.
To that point.
Very
And now, I mean, who would believe that?
well, there's a difference.
Your persona. That's a persona then.
Dennis, if you came to my house, you would say, my God, you are an introvert. I have two personalities. The second one I created I performed. When I was on the air, I performed. I now refer to him as the radio guy. Because every once in a while, like I had to go to a wedding last weekend and I can't deal really well with social stuff. So I become the radio guy and I become like loud and obnoxious and irritating.
When do you realize that you do have a different persona? Like when do you?
Pretty early on, not right away.
Did you really create that, or it just happened, and then you realized that you have this?
Started the first day I had the job full time because I had another really obnoxious boss, a guy named Tom Bigby, and I did my first show with Brookie. Brookie said, "That went well, kid. Keep it up. You're doing good." And I went to see the boss, and he said, "So how do you think you did?" I said, "Well, I think I did pretty well." Brookie just said, "It went well," and he said, "It did not go well. You did not do what I hired you to do. What I hired you to do is no longer be a journalist. Stop taking yourself so seriously and do what I hired you to do, which is make people laugh and be provocative, create drama, excitement." And eventually I got to the point where I did that. And he was Tom Bigby, who I ended up really not getting along well with all.
Who does?
No one did. But the fact of the matter is he gave me a lot of the tools I needed to be successful. He did do that.
So you give him credit for that, but he's a jerk.
I have to. I wouldn't have done it without him. And that was the last day of my journalism career. The first day I started at radio full time.
Okay. Are you have your full family by then? I would say, right?
Full time with Brookie, 5 days a week, 4 hours a day.
But your family is your daughter and your son. Your son came along and
here, and we've got the nice American nuclear family.
Right. So then it's 90s, and you have Al. Does Al come full time yet?
Al comes 2 years right after Brookie leaves. They have a dog and pony show for a couple of weeks. They bring in some people that were. One was a radio icon, Joey Reynolds from New York.
Right.
But the minute I started working again with Al, I said, well, we are going to need somebody else who really understands radio. And they were able to get Tony Bruno. So it was Tony, me, and Al for 3 years until Tony left to go full time to ESPN.
And Tony's from South Philly.
Yeah, Tony's terrific.
He leaves because of the guy you talk about, right? He left because of Big B.
Tony Bruno. What I learned from Brookie was a lot. What I learned from Tony was also
the rest
incredibly important. Learning about the city, understanding the psychology of the fans, being spontaneous and crazy at times, throwing curveballs, being different, mixing it up. He taught me all that. I picked up all that from Tony.
Are you happy now? Are you happy doing this? Or are you like?
No, I'm not happy, Dennis, because I'm a perfectionist and I would do a show and it would be going well. The numbers were up. We were doing great. We were making more money. And I would be driving home, and the 1 minute in the show that didn't go right was all that would be on my mind. And
That's what you're focusing on.
and that's when I got to a point where I in 1995 I had a really serious bout of clinical depression.
Mm.
And I was off the air for 3 weeks, and I was in therapy and medication, and I had to.
You took yourself off the air?
I couldn't function.
Mm.
I was at a point where I couldn't sleep. I was just a mess. I was crazy. It was imposter syndrome. It finally hit me that I'm not even trained to do this. I'm going to do this for how long? When are people going to realize that I don't really know what I'm doing here?
And yet you're 7 years into it. 95. You started in 88,
It's been
85 full time.
If you include the part-time, 5 full-time.
Right. And you're doing well. I mean,
The
everyone.
more success we had, the more pressure I felt.
Mm.
It was actually the more success we had, the worse it was for me. I was, well, now this fall's going to be even bigger. It's
Just going to say that the higher you go up, the bigger you think the fall is going to be.
Exactly. So,
And you can't enjoy it.
I didn't enjoy any of it
Mm.
because I don't think I earned it. I thought it was just a series of odd twists that put me in that booth doing that thing
Right.
in this crazy city. And
Is that the same time that your marriage is falling apart?
yeah, right. Exactly.
So it all hits at once.
It's kind of part of the reason the marriage went bad, because when you go into therapy, you study every part of your life.
Right.
And the therapist was basically saying you have some you have some things here that you need to resolve. They're unresolved.
That you don't even know. You don't even realize until you go into therapy that this stuff has been bothering you.
Doesn't.
Mm.
I don't. I'm not challenging. I'm married 23, 24 years at that point.
Your parents are married forever. You're Italian.
Yeah.
This is the way it's supposed to be. You met her in high school. That's it.
100%. It's
Mhm.
exactly what happened. And when I came out the other end of it, I was stronger. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Mhm.
And soon
Could
to
you
be
sleep?
Yeah, by then I was past the bad part.
Okay.
It took a long time though. It took months. And then when I got past it and I realized that I had to make some changes in my life, and one was I needed to start over. I had to end my marriage,
Mm.
and I did.
How do
Very
the kids react to this?
Well, they were old enough that my daughter was going away to college in Florida, and my son ended up moving in with me. He was a junior in high school.
Mm.
And it was bumpy for them, but we all got through it. I just took comfort in the fact that many, many other people had to deal with it as well, and we would figure it out, and we did.
Okay. Tough time. When you got divorced, I read about this Joe Piscopo clause.
Oh, that's one of the most painful things. So, all right.
Sorry.
Now I got to go to court
Right.
because I'm getting divorced. It's contested, and they want more money than I want to pay, et cetera, et cetera. And I go to court, and it's clear very early on that the judge is familiar with my work.
Mm.
Is not a big fan.
Doesn't love you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. See, the
You
thing
could have
is,
got a fan.
some people like that approach and some people didn't.
Mm.
And he didn't. And he was rough. And finally, at the end, the other side comes out and they go, here's why he's got to pay more, because his name carries with it a lot of perks. And she's entitled to some of those perks, half of those perks as well. It's called the celebrity clause. And so they said, your name is worth some. She should get more money for that. And she did. She got a lot of money.
Mm.
And then like a year or two later, Joe Piscopo's coming through town and he's doing a show. He's doing Frank Sinatra at a place. And he comes in and literally this happens on the air. So Joe, we're talking, he's singing songs, he's doing all kinds of stuff. And then I go, Joe, you cost me a lot of money. And he said, what do you mean? And because you had this divorce case up in North Jersey. I'm in South Jersey. You're in North Jersey, you ended up having to pay a lot more money because you're Joe Piscopo. And they nailed you. And then they used the Piscopo clause on me. And he laughs. Oh, Dennis, he was doubled over with laughter. And he went, you know that I won on appeal, right? You know that I didn't end up having to pay to be a celebrity. And I went, oh, great. I got to pay because you're a celebrity. I got screwed. You didn't. And that's the way life is.
Yeah.
No complaints. By then I was making enough money to be able to pay it.
Right. How did your daughter's boyfriend attack you on the air?
Yeah. Back then, pretty much the whole time I was there, but especially then, I just didn't have any barriers.
Mm-hmm.
So he called in one day and he was mad about something, and they were in a rebellious stage. And he, on my show, said, I hope you realize you're a horrible father. Yeah.
Oh.
And I went, well, thank you for that. And, if it means anything to you at all, you're a horrible boyfriend. And the ultimate nightmare for any father, especially an Italian one.
Don't tell me, Meredith. I know she's married. She married him?
She married him.
And,
it didn't last.
Okay.
But she did marry him. Okay. And now as I look back, I realize that all of that antagonism that I created only brought them closer together. See, with age comes wisdom, but it's too late sometimes to do anything about it.
Are you teaching at LaSalle yet?
Yeah, that's right around the same time, mid-90s. At that time, I have a TV show on Comcast Sportsnet. I've got
Great Sports Debate?
Yeah. Well, no, that was Great Sports Debate. It was a little before that.
Okay.
I had Angelo and Company. I did shows for 10 years, different live shows with John Spagnola at one point, Irving Fryer, Four and Hebron, a lot of different people over the course of those 10 years. And so I had a TV show. I had 20 hours of radio a week, and I taught a course as an adjunct professor at LaSalle University.
And if I know the Catholics, they're paying you pretty damn well.
Oh, yeah. My daughter was she had transferred there, and I was paying $14,000 a semester for her at LaSalle then. And they were paying me $2,000 a semester to teach the course.
They weren't giving her free tuition?
No.
Crazy.
Junks did not get that. You had to be tenured. You had to be a full-time professor to get that amenity. So I didn't get it. But
you meet somebody there, right?
I got something better out of it.
Yes.
I got my second and only and last wife, Gail. She as she does to this day, she helped me with the computer system at LaSalle. She was a graduate student there, and for reasons that have never fully been clear to me, she said yes when I asked her to marry me.
Nice. Beautiful, intelligent. Yeah. Something that comes out of doing something good at LaSalle. Did you like your experience there other than meeting Gail?
I loved it.
Okay.
I loved it. I probably was as suited to do that as anything.
Is it something you think about doing now in your No.
I don't think about doing anything once I retire. But I will say that the 4 years I was there were incredibly rewarding. It was a great school. And I got to teach Mike Sealski, who's a columnist now at the Inquirer. Yeah. He was in one of my classes.
So it's a Saturday show.
Yeah. I got to work with John Gonzalez, who was a tremendous student, who went on to great things at NBC Sports Philadelphia. Now he's at the Ringer. I really had an opportunity to see the next generation and to understand how talented they were.
You helped Sealski get to Columbia, right?
Yep. He ended up, I did end up making a call for him there, but he would have gotten in anyway. Mike was a great student and is a brilliant columnist. I'm so proud that I had the teeniest thing to do with them becoming what they became.
Mhm.
It was, that's the part of teaching that we don't think about enough, the impact you have on other people's lives. But if you do it, you get to experience it. And it was one of the most rewarding things I ever got to do.
Well, you still talk about that woman you talked about her today from Colombia. She's your favorite.
Well, my advisor totally, it's a weird thing, Ness. I didn't fully grasp the impact that my advisor had on my life until I was writing the book. And I was putting all this down. I'm like, wow, that guy attacked me. This guy attacked me. What was I doing? I was asking tough questions. I was being contentious, that kind of, and I went, all of that happened because they taught me there to be that way.
Right.
I wasn't that way. I was shrinking violet. I was scared of my own shadow. And suddenly I'm doing all these things because Columbia taught me them. And I was also, obviously, my ego was built that I had gone to the best journalism school in the world. No one really has been able to explain how they let me in to begin with. But yeah, it had only then that I realized, you know what? That was maybe as big a moment as any moment in my life.
Mm. Did you really challenge Charlie Manuel to a fight? Or was that like
No, that was Howard-esque.
Okay.
I did. I only found this out at the very end. When he first was hired, I wasn't in favor of it. I still believe I was right. He got hired. He won one championship with an incredible roster of great players. Incredible. Pat Gillick was a GM then, and he just piled up the great players, and he could find them. Nobody else thought Jason Worth was a great player, and he brought him in and made him into one. And Charlie Manuel was
Victorino.
great. He was great in the culture, but he sucked at strategy. He was awful.
I think we have the same thing now.
Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly. You have exactly the same thing now.
Good over the long haul of the season, but game to game.
Jim Leland was the other finalist for that position as Phillies manager.
He's one of my favorites.
Jim Leland didn't get the job because he needed to take a smoke break.
Yeah.
And the Phillies didn't like that. And they thought Charlie was a charming hayseed. If they had made the other decision, they would have won 2, maybe 3.
I think so too.
Well, Will
got out-coached against the Yankees, out-coached against the Giants, out-coached against the Cardinals.
Oh, yeah. But we'll never be able to prove it because he did win one. And in our city, if you win one, it's people love you, and they love him. They thought he was charming and whatever. He hated me. Everyone hated me. All right. Every manager, every coach in the 33 years I was there at some point despised me because I was being critical of them. I was applying the standards of real journalism to them. And I wasn't afraid when they came on, because a lot of them had to come on. It was contractually required. If you were the Eagles coach or Phillies coach in the years that we had the games, part of the contract was you had to come on the morning show. And they didn't like the questions a lot of the time. I had some real blowouts on and off the year over that, but I didn't change.
How about with management? When they start, because way back when they didn't have all this. Oh, we have the Phillies on, we have the Eagles on. Did they try to change you then? When they
the management at the radio station protected me.
Okay.
The management of the sports teams attempted to leverage me, if not off the air, at least bound and gagged, so I couldn't say what I really wanted to say. And the Eagles took it beyond me. They took it to CBS because CBS was the owner of our team. And Jeffrey Lurie wrote a letter to Paul Tagliabue saying, before you engage in the next negotiation with CBS for our TV deal, make sure that jackass here that I have to listen to every morning is either gone or muzzled.
Really?
But
wow.
I guess we were making enough money for him, Dennis. You know how businesses work.
That's it.
Because
money talks, bullshit walks.
If I wasn't making enough money, I don't think they would have said, well, we're going to stand up for this guy. They would have said, get out. But they supported me. That's all I know. They supported me and they allowed me to. They never, even when Ed Snyder was the owner and he hated the way we did sports talk. They never interfered. They never said to me, you got to say something this way. Maybe they knew I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I would literally let them, I would become a martyr. They would fire me. I would make a big splash out of it. And, and none of them got to that point.
Can I ask you, you get here in 82, 83. You're a Philadelphian now, I feel, right? In your heart.
To believe that.
When do you start feeling that? I love this place. I love Philly.
Oh, right away. It was love at first firing. The first day I got here, 1983, was the exact day that the Phillies fired Pat Corrales as their manager while they were still
in first place. The first coach ever fired in first place, right?
I was in the Inquirer Sports Department for the first time when the word hit. They just fired Pat Corrales. And I went, isn't he in first place? I went, oh, I think we have a good marriage here. I think I'm going to like it here.
Crazy.
And the sensibility just fit the way I look at stuff. It's less so now than it was then. It was the sensibility is not anywhere near as demanding or as challenging as it was when I started as a journalist here.
So when is it you realize you're the number one sports guy in the United States? Maybe Francesca. Maybe.
No, I don't even know. I never looked at it that way. I just wanted to. I loved the job, so I wanted to just do it as long as I could do it and kept loving it.
Do you think it could have worked anywhere else but Philly?
Well,
I think it's like the perfect.
We could have found out.
Right.
A couple of years into the time I was working with Tony and Al, I got a call from WEEI, and
which is where
they wanted Al and I to move there because he's from Boston, I'm from Providence, and do their morning show.
Okay.
They saw the numbers and they thought, wow, this will translate. And shows you my loyalty back then. I can't say then I was totally committed to Philadelphia because I started packing my bags. The numbers were really good. They were paying a lot of money.
A lot more money.
A lot of money. A lot more than we were making. And I went, Al, let's do this. We're going home.
So what stops you?
Al said, no. Al said, what we do here will not work in Boston. We cannot yell and scream and attack people and criticize them in Boston that will hate us. It's a different city. And Al's bond to Boston was way stronger than mine was to Providence. And maybe I guess he read it right. I don't know. We'll never know because we never went. WIP matched the offer to keep us there. And we stayed in Philadelphia. And I'm really, really glad we did because he was probably right. I know he wouldn't have lasted as long because people here, man, when they decide they like you, they usually like you for a long, long time. It's amazing in this town. So it was great. It was a great honor that I'm indebted to Al that he made the right decision for me.
When does Rhea come on? How does that happen?
Not long into it. She was there with us for 25 years. So
she's great.
Do the math. It's like she was there. We knew right away. We had Chris Gamble, who was there before. She was terrific. She was real radio person. She was fun and bubbly and all that. But she wasn't sports. She was just more culture, pop culture, that kind of thing. Rhea came in and right from day one, it was like, wow, we got somebody here who frankly knows more than us, knows how to express it every bit as well as we do, and fits right into what we're doing. And behind the scenes, my God, she did everything. She booked the show. She was just a whirlwind. She did everything well from day one, and she was intimidated by nobody, which is exactly what we need. Because if you're a woman, they're going to test you left and right. They're going to try everything to find out how tough you are.
Rhea's a Philly girl.
Boy, is she ever.
She's a
Southwest Philly.
She's my aunt.
She is.
She's my aunt. My aunt took me all the hockey games, all my baseball games, taught me everything, taught me how to gamble.
Wow.
So, Rhea, yeah, right?
Yeah. Well, Rhea was a lifesaver because when I got to the back end and it was starting to get harder and harder. I leaned on her more and more to do the planning and to do all that we needed to keep going.
So you go to the 2000s, you go through the odds. We get to 2008, we win the World Series. Great time.
Yep. Yeah.
Right.
Well, that was a train wreck for me because back then we had Weasels running WIP.
Who?
Weasels.
Yeah, like who?
Weasels.
Okay.
That's the way I refer to all my bosses because they realized that this was going to be a tremendous bonanza for the station because the Phillies were. So they sold the
Everything.
great show. They sold it to where we were on the air less than 30 minutes out of every hour.
Jeez.
They sold twice or more than twice the normal ad load to make money.
Unlistenable.
It was unlistenable. It was awful.
Who's that? Rayfield?
That was Mark Rayfield was one of the people, and Andy Bloom was our immediate boss.
He doesn't have a great reputation.
Well, he's had some problems since then, yeah, big time. But bottom line is, I went nuts. We were in the Union League, which is so sedate and classy. And we're going to break, which, by the way, is pretty much all we did that day. And I'm just screaming at my bosses saying, how could you do this? We waited. At that point, I had been there for 28 years. We had never won a championship. We finally won a championship. We got no show. They sold the whole damn thing.
Aren't there rules or anything like that about how?
Not well. If there were any rules, they were breaking them that day because they wanted to bring in money and be heroes to CBS, to the corporation. And I never forgave them. The one thing I've always been good at is holding grudges, and I trashed them in my book.
Are you going to get Italian Alzheimer's?
I hope not.
That's when you forget about everything but your resentments, right?
The last thing I will lose is my resentments and my grudges, Dennis. I can tell you that. But I embrace them. I think it's part of life. If you suddenly love everyone, you're lying. You're a fraud. No one loves everyone. So just be honest about it.
When do you start thinking about it all coming to an end? I mean, you're getting older.
Yeah.
You're in your late 50s, early 60s then?
Definitely after the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
In 2018.
I really, really wanted to be here for that. And I didn't think it was going to happen. The year they won it all, we took a whole plane load of people to LA to see the game against the Rams in the Coliseum, which was the game where Carson Wentz blew out his knee.
Right.
And he was the MVP that year of the NFL. He was playing great.
If everyone had the same reaction I did, the season's over. We win, but the season's over.
Yep.
It's over.
Exactly.
You can't imagine.
We're on a plane coming back, and we're going, Nick Foles. It was nice he won that game, but we're screwed. We're done. Little did we know. And
the next two games aren't that good either, right?
No, not that good.
Not like he crushed it.
It's getting a little bit better each game, and he starts feeling it a little more. And what he had that Wentz didn't have was intestinal fortitude.
Yeah.
I don't think they would have won it with Wentz. I don't. I know they won it with Foles because I saw it, and I saw him call a gadget play against the greatest coach of all time, Philly special, and it helped them to win. And the greatest single individual victory I have experienced as a fan in my life or in the lives of most of the Philadelphia.
It's still unbelievable, right?
Isn't it?
Watching it that day, him dropping those dimes.
And then
it's unbelievable. He outplayed the best player of all time, Tom Brady. I mean, come on.
And it's a magic carpet ride for months after. It was just such a high. So then after that, you go, well, Phillies won, Eagles won. This is probably enough. I'm good. But it took a long time. I wanted to let everybody know that I work with that I was winding it down. But even at that, it took another 5 years before I was done. It still took 5 more years because just when I was ready to leave, we got the COVID pandemic, and they said, "Please, you got to give us another year here. We're in a mess here. Yeah, one more year." And I said, "Okay, I'll do one more year." And they said, "We'll do whatever you need." Good. I'm not going to work Wednesdays like doctors used to. They used to take Wednesdays off. I'm not going to work Wednesdays because 5 days in a row is really hard for me now. So they gave me all these amenities, and I did the final year, and it was the Eagles went back to the Super Bowl, but deep down, I had a feeling they weren't going to win that time because Jonathan Gannon was a horrible coach, still is, by the way.
Yeah,
and I just knew. I'm not a Sirianni fan. I'll never be a Sirianni fan. I got to interview him for 3 years, Dennis, after every game.
Nick,
He's not just in the bottom half of the people in intellect I had to interview. He's in the bottom half of that bottom half.
Nick Sirianni.
So he's in the bottom 25%.
He's not the sharpest pencil on the.
I taught Doug Peterson, who won the Super Bowl. He was an extremely intelligent man who is willing to give you information, was comfortable in his own shoes, all of it. Sirianni, in those years, maybe he's different now. I doubt it. What I'm seeing doesn't seem much different. The guy just wasn't real smart. That's what I took from him.
I say he's the second worst head coach to win a Super Bowl. Only behind Barry Switzer. I'm sorry.
You know what?
I'm sorry.
I'm stealing that. You're right.
It's Barry Switzer and then it's Nick Sirianni. What I saw 3 weeks ago at the end of that one game, he just tried to give it to them.
Yeah, he's
going for it on fourth down at your own 50.
It's a miracle they won with him. It's a miracle. It just shows you, how great those other players were that they could win anyway. But
so you leave. What are you doing now? What have you been doing? You've been doing that podcast that I love about TV.
Television. It's all about TV. We don't do much with sports with it because unless TV it has a sports issue.
It's you, Rhea, and Jay Black.
Yeah. And he was always my TV guy when we were on the radio show. So I'm paying him back being on there, and it's fun. He runs the show. I do a blog every Monday on AngeloCataldi.com where I give you pretty much what I would have said after every Eagles game or after any other sports event. And I hang around with my grandkids.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
How many grandkids do you have?
I got 7, but 3 of them who are little who are here all the time.
Oh, wow.
In fact, I can't believe it because they're here right now and they haven't made any noise.
Oh, all right.
It's unusual.
You feel like you're making up for lost time.
They're 3, 5, and 7, and they're awesome. And
you pop up or grandpa?
Neither. I'm Chooch, which kind of means jackass, and I'm Italian, and I like that because I like that they're calling me something derogatory.
Okay. Well, is there anything else you'd like to tell the audience?
Shoot, great success with this, Dennis. It was a lot of fun. I didn't know you'd be this good at it at the interviewing thing. You're really good at it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you for giving me your time.
Anytime at all, Dennis. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Take care, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Have a good day.
All right, Michael. Angelo Cataldi. How was that? What an excellent guy.
Very, very intriguing. His personality, from me listening to him, I remember waking up before Mass Bomb, putting on channel 23 Sports Net, I think it was called, but they would have WIP in the background, and that was my morning breakfast show to listen at the age of 14.
Okay. I just loved hearing about how he became who we think we know. The introvert, the guy who got married to his first girlfriend, went to college, was at Rhode Island, went to Colombia, how disgusting Colombia was, the rats and the roaches, and yet the learning, what he learned there, he sits with Muhammad Ali,
Yeah, that's amazing.
right? Does is covering the Celtics and the Larry Bird in the 80, 81, 82, 83 Celtics. Right in my wheelhouse, man. And then he comes to Philly, and I'm reading them. I'm reading guys like, I'm 60 years old. I read guys like Stan Hockney. He touched on Bill Conlon. I hate to even admit, because of what happened at the end, but I read Bill Conlon religiously. Because I was reading Bill Conlon, I learned about the Revolutionary War because that's the way he wrote. Bill Conlon was so good. Jay Greenberg, I feel, was Al Morgani before Al Morgani. Jay was the hockey writer. And Stan Hockman.
The Wizard. That was my favorite skit. Do you remember that when they used to do like the Wizard picks the games and it was Stan Hockman?
Stan Hockman. And then we get, then Al's here and Angelo comes and all those people are, writing, and that's when you needed to read. It's before all the radio, before sports radio,
Absolutely.
before ESPN.
I left, thinking about it. You and I read the newspaper the same exact way. Back page first.
Flip it over.
Yeah.
You don't remember this, but there was the Bolton was a nighttime paper. There was the Philadelphia, I think it was called the Journal. And that was like the Daily News. They call them, those types of papers. I'll think about what they're called. But the Journal had a page 7 girl. And it would just be a picture of a usually buxom woman somewhere in the city of Philadelphia. Just there she is, page 7 girl. Before you went to the back page with the Journal, you went to the page 7, checked out the girl. That was a different time.
Yeah.
Couldn't do that now. And then you go to the back and you start from the back, and the most important sports was in the back page, and then inside and inside. Angelo wrote for the Enquirer. It was a little different. You'd have to, on a Sunday, you'd pull out. There was no Sunday Daily News, so you got the big-ass Enquirer, and then that was the best sports section all week was the Sunday Enquirer.
They were the worst papers to deliver when I had my paper out.
Sundays.
Yes.
Yeah. You'd have to put them together, right?
Put them together.
You got two different parts.
Yeah, yeah.
I sold them in front of a Catholic church. That's what you did.
Yeah.
They were important then. Now the kids don't even know for a paper.
No idea.
Anyway, Angelo writes 6 or 7 years here. Buddy Ryan, he has some flare-ups. There was a second. He was attacked by McCammon and Kerr saved him. There was a second one. I don't remember. I wanted to ask him about it, and now I'm realizing we didn't ask him. There was a second one where Garrity, the wide receiver from Penn State, saved him from a linebacker who was going to rip his head off and went after him, and Garrity stepped in between him and Angelo. And we didn't even hear about that, But I read Angelo before he was ever on the radio. And that's when we met, right?
Yeah.
In 88, 89. And then WIP starts, and boy, the 90s were magical time with that.
Yeah, it was definitely my radio all day long in the 90s.
Yes.
Sports talk, and I guess that's when Sports Center, and it was all sports.
Before they came on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, WIP All Sports Radio, you had, people forget, Eskin was on WWDB, and he was a freaking Cowboys fan. I don't care what you say, but he was a Cowboys fan. Oh, there was another thing that's just coming to me. Eskin and Angelo didn't get along, I don't think, too well. But Eskin's son ends up giving Angelo the Heimlich maneuver and saving his life one
Wow.
day.
Spike.
Yes. I forgot about bringing that up, too.
Yeah, wow.
There's so many things. I mean, you can't bring everything up, whatever.
Yeah.
But he was great. I really appreciate having Angelo on, him giving us his time.
Yeah.
That was our 10th.
10th, yes.
10th. And we've had every guest, I feel like my kids when we went to different colleges, campuses, especially Savannah, would go to a college camp. This is the one she was going to. Then we go to another one. That was the best college. She was going to that one. Then we go to, finally, the last one is the one she went to.
Yeah.
Virginia Commonwealth. We love it.
Yes.
And where Phil Martelli Jr. is now. Yeah. We loved it. And that's how I feel like in this podcast. I mean, we started with Phil Martelli. How do you start better than that, right? And Coach comes on. That was, I figured I'll never do another podcast. We would never do another podcast that good. And then we have Sister Mary Scullion next. And she was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And we only did half of her life.
Yeah. We might want to rethink our timing for the
what are you going to
2
do?
hours.
Yeah. So, and now, you know, we had yesterday, we had Joe Conklin, and we've had, I don't want to miss anybody.
Yeah.
We've had Anne Marie Kelly, and now we've had Angelo Cataldi. And I kind of miss, you know, you get used to something, and he's nostalgia now.
Yeah, the morning show, he's the Harry Callis of, for me, radio talk shows and sports in the morning. Like,
and in the United States, he was.
Yeah.
It was him and Francesca up in New York.
Yeah.
And Francesca's Angelo, as much as blustery and loud, and you know that's his book. By the way, I read the book. It was really good. If somebody out there wants to,
I actually just ordered it today.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And you'll love it.
Yeah.
But as much as he's like that, he even says it. That's a persona, and the real Angelo is he's a nice guy.
It's Grandpa Chooch.
Yes, and he's you know, his ego's in check, right? I had a great time. I had a great hour and a half.
Yeah.
I could have kept going, but you know.
Definitely.
Well, anyway, thank you, Angelo. Thanks to everyone for listening, and I can't wait to do number 11.
Yeah, thank you.